Good morning, team, and welcome back to the Low Carb Paleo Show.
Good morning. Thank you for having me. Excited to be here.
Absolutely, it's our pleasure. So, good morning, Mr. Mark.
Good morning, gentlemen. I trust you are suitably well.
I am.
Indeed.
Well,
Tim's
here
not
we
so
are.
Yeah. No, all good here in Austin, Texas.
Okay.
Super
Okay.
job.
So don't fall asleep on the show now.
No, that's my job.
Okay.
Hey.
Yeah. So it's been a few months since we last talked, and can you remind us who you are, what you do, what is your product, and so on?
Yeah, for sure. So my name is Tim Krauss. I'm the CEO and a co-founder of a company called Mammoth Creameries. We make a high-fat, low-carb ice cream slash custard that falls in line with the keto way of eating. And yeah, I'm in Austin, Texas, and super excited to be back on the show. And yeah, let's get going.
So I guess this being the summer, you're busy with the ice cream business, huh?
Yeah, it is high time. It's let's see how best to say this. In Texas, it's a little bit misleading because like summer starts so early and it ends so late. It's like the rest of the country's getting ready for fall, and for us here in Texas, it's just like, oh my God, is summer ever going to end? So it's yeah, but in general, spring and summer are just absolutely crazy when it comes to ice cream. And then towards the end of the year, where a lot of people be like, oh, it's probably slowing down. For us, it is not slowing down because the type of product that we have is not necessarily a seasonal product. It is a product that people purchase and consume all year round because it aligns with a certain way of living. And so, yeah, it's, there's two phases in our business. It's either crazy busy or just busy, but there's never really any downtime. So right now we're in the crazy busy phase.
Right. Well, good for you. So I assume that the confinement has probably helped your sales a lot, right? Because people, when they stay home, they tend to eat more. Yeah.
So it has helped sales for sure. It's been a little bit tricky just because, when all of this started, nobody knew what was going to happen. And, we're trying to run a company and, forecast demand for our suppliers, our partners, and what have you. And so, initially we scaled back our expectation for the year quite a lot, just because, when everybody got locked into their house pretty much and nobody could go to the grocery store, we kind of figured, if you can't go to the grocery store, that certainly can't be good for our business. Yes, we have a online presence, but we did not anticipate that we were going to build a business selling ice cream and driving the majority of sales, doing it online, just because it's very difficult and expensive and what have you. But outside of our own e-commerce platform, you have companies like Instacart, Favor, and all these other third-party offerings now that have really had a significant impact on our direct sales, I guess you would call it. And so, yeah, so we had scaled back our expectation for the year, from a sales manufacturing standpoint, really all across the company. And now looking back, we've actually over-delivered on everything that we thought that was going to happen originally, right? So we had our plan A going into the year, and when COVID-19 hit, we scaled back, so we went back to plan B, or and then plan C and D and what have you. But we significantly reduced expectation from plan A. But now looking back, at June, July, and May, and what have you, we actually over-delivered on plan A. So it's a crazy busy time because it's you just don't know what to expect.
Well, I don't know about other parts of the country, but I know in Austin the grocery stores never shut down, and I mean, in the beginning they were more stringent with the space and whether you were allowed in. I mean, I remember in the beginning there was long lines to get in. Now you can walk anytime and you just walk in. There's no problem as long as you wear a mask. You're good to go.
For sure, for sure. And so, we definitely, I think as a country, I don't know if any grocery stores were ever shut down, right? Because I don't know if that would be feasible to, maintaining
Right.
a population. So, what the struggle and the concern for us specifically was not so much people not going to the grocery store, because we understand like people have to go to the grocery store, right? I mean, it's
Mm,
unavoidable unless you're living on a farm and, you're self-sufficient, of course. But,
right.
but for us, we were kind of looking at it like, okay, so people are concerned about their health. They're only leaving the house if they absolutely have to. Going to the grocery store is one of those scenarios that is just something you absolutely have to do. But then the thought is like, okay, so if you're exposing yourself to a potential threat,
Mm,
are you going to go to the grocery store to do some shopping, or do you know exactly what you need, where to get it, and you're in and out? And the reality is when COVID first hit, when we were the same way. We went to the grocery store, we got meat, dairy, veggies, toilet paper, and we're out, right? We
mm,
didn't do much going down the aisles. It's like, what's new? Let's look at the ice cream. We didn't do that because we didn't want to
right.
be exposed. And we, even in Austin, a city that is, I would say ahead of the curve when it comes to, like, let's be safe, let's wear masks, let's wash our hands, what have you. Even, we even felt that there a little bit
Mm,
where, people just didn't spend as much time browsing in the grocery store. But, yeah, but
right.
overall, Austin did well. And we are certainly happy to be part of the community here. And we felt like the community, took care of us kind of like we take care of them. So.
Right. Cool. I know that, again, we're staying on your business for now. We'll get to personal stuff a little later. I know that some of the benefits to people, unemployed people, basically stopped about a week ago. Do you think that's going to affect your business at all? Or?
It's hard to tell. From a salesperson point of view, I'll tell you, no way, it's not going to affect business at all. Everything's fine. But the
Mm,
reality is we are we're a premium product. We're higher priced than,
right.
than most ice cream. Granted, there's nothing like Mammoth out there, so we're really one of a kind. But I think, Austin specifically, I don't think it'll be that big of an impact, but across the country, yeah, certainly. I'm sure there are geographics, small town, Idaho, or small town Texas even, where,
Mm,
people are just going to have to make that decision. And, we certainly want them to, continue buying Mammoth as is, but then, the reality is, man, if you need to provide for your family, get your meat, vegetables, and eggs. And if there's anything
mm,
left after that, then get your Mammoth. But certainly, do
right.
what's best for your family first. So will there
Well,
be an impact? Potentially. We're hoping it's not going to be too large, but it's too early to tell.
most likely the people that buy your products are more of a middle class. They have more money, so I'm not getting the feeling you're going to be affected a lot.
Yeah. So you might be onto something, but what we've actually done since the last time we've talked, we've reduced our price
Okay.
at the shelf by
Mm-hmm.
$1 at a minimum, and even better at some places, because we really want to, we've done such a great job at that $8.99 price point where, we reached a massive audience, and we were really happy how things are going. But, we felt like we didn't give the opportunity to a lot of the American people to experience Mammoth, right? And our goal from the beginning, and I think I've touched on this, last time we spoke, is, we're all about running a profitable business, and we have to, right? Otherwise, this laptop won't have internet connectivity, right? So don't get me
Right.
wrong. But our goal is to make a product such as Mammoth that is super premium, has only minimal ingredients, and those ingredients are certainly the best ingredients you can buy. We want to make that accessible to everybody. And so when we started the company, we knew, like, we're going to enter this industry at a high price point simply because we didn't have those, discounts of scale, right? We had no bargaining power. We would go to people and they're like, this is what it costs, take it or leave it. Well, now 12 months have gone by and the company has grown aggressively. We have a little bit more say when we go into those meetings. And from the beginning, we said we knew it was going to be high, but our goal is to drive that cost down. We want this to be a product that everybody can experience, because it's a way of life, right? It's not an ice cream in a sense. You're like, yeah, I'll have this every once in a while. This is a treat. Granted, mammoth certainly can be that, but ultimately this is a way of life, and it shouldn't stop at the middle class, right? Like this needs to be available to everybody. So we've been working extremely aggressively towards that goal, and we're making progress. So hopefully we'll see that on the other have positive impact on the other side.
Good, good. Now, on a personal level, how did you and your family handle the confinement? Was there any change in your life, or?
Yeah, there, yes, there was a significant change in my life. So, as you guys might remember, we have 4 children, one in college, one in high school, one in elementary school, and then a baby. And, everybody came home for spring break, and then nobody left. Nobody left. So we went from, one child living out of the house on campus, another one being extremely active, as a sophomore in high school, constantly hanging out and going out and what have you, to a house of, 6 people with a lot of varying interests and levels of, just entertainment, to we're really confined. And so it got a little bit tricky, like my wife and I, we like having everybody at home, having everybody close, but especially the older kids might not be on that same page. So there certainly took a while to kind of, learn everybody's routine, be respectful of everybody. And, to have a 19-year-old daughter, moving back home from after living on campus at the University of Texas, which is probably the best time of your life. So there was definitely an adjustment period there, because she kind of got used to doing things a certain way. And, we just do the, we run our household the way we've always run it. So there was, definitely a little bit of an adjustment period, mainly on us, but we got it figured out. And I think everybody really enjoyed their time at home. And, we, again, as a family, as parents, we definitely love having the kids home. And we've always worked from home. So it's, it's been good.
So I'm not clear on the situation with the schools. Are the kids going back to school in September?
I'm just going to say it the way I see it is. It's a freaking mess. There's options there. School is supposed to start next Thursday, right? That's when, at least, our school district, elementary, middle, and high school are supposed to start next Thursday. And it's going to kick off virtually, and then come September, like you mentioned, you have that option for, are you going to go back? Are you going to stay home? Are you going to withdraw from the school completely and do your own separate homeschooling that has nothing to do with the school district? And what we've done for our family, we've decided, for our elementary and high schooler, they're going to stay home. They're going to be part of the school curriculum, and they're going to, attend the high school here locally and the elementary school, but it's going to be virtual. And our daughter that's in college, she's taking all online classes. She will be moving out of the house. She did get her own apartment, as she's not being able to go back to the dorm, but she was just like, hey, love you, Mom and Dad, but I gotta go. This has been fun, just not real fun. So but she will be attending University of Texas completely online, at least this semester. So and in making that decision, you have some parent, it's, what are you going to do? If our son is going into first grade, he hasn't really seen any of his friends most of the summer, and it's like, it's a tough decision, right? Like, what do you do? But, me being a type 1 diabetic kind of helps us make that decision real easy for us, because I'm, my immune system is already compromised. There's no need to add any additional chances to me getting sick and potentially becoming, COVID-19 positive. So it was a difficult decision from a standpoint of, we're going to ask a lot of our children, but then again, from a health standpoint for the family, it was a really easy decision.
Right. So I had forgotten about your immune system issue. So how do you protect yourself proactively and then defensively?
Yeah, for sure. So I feel like, for me personally, that's my personal opinion. It's, I feel like I've always had a leg up, just simply because of my lifestyle, extremely conscious of what I eat, very fit, constantly exercising, all forms, what have you. And then, when COVID-19 really got serious, even if I tried to put myself in a position where I could potentially, come in contact with it, my wife made sure that wasn't happening. She put me on the tightest lockdown ever, I'm not allowed to leave the house. unless it's for running, and then only either before the sun comes up or after the sun comes down.
Yeah.
You know, and only on the trails, which are super remote. So it's, you know, she made sure that there was nothing that could really come across. And then, you know, as far, you know, what we did, but also what we did, you know, just like, I mean, wearing a mask everywhere we go, hand sanitizer, and, you know, just, I mean, you just use common sense, you know, like before COVID-19, after you go pump gas for your car, probably shouldn't pick your nose. And that still applies after COVID-19, right? Like there's these common sense things that have always been there, but now we maybe want to pay just a little bit extra attention to it, just, you know, for everybody's safety. And so that's how we kind of, you know, preemptively have attacked it. And as far as what we do if, you know, anybody in this house would get sick, you know, I mean, in our head, we have a plan of, you know, we have an extra bedroom, somebody would sequester to their bedroom. But honestly, man, I don't know, you know, we would have to just kind of take it as it comes, you know, and especially having younger children, you know, like what if your child, you know, of age of 6 becomes, you know, COVID-19 positive? I mean, as a parent, what does that mean to you? It really means nothing, because that child is going to need hands-on care. And as that child's dad, you know, I'm going to take my chance. I'm going to provide for my child first and then take care of my own issues later. So.
Right. No, typically the children are not as affected as the adults, right?
I mean, that's what they say, but at this point, with so many conflicting stories out there, we're just taking absolutely no chance, because, you know, even if a child is not as susceptible as an adult, if that child, you know, I've heard people tell us like, oh, if a child becomes COVID-19 positive, it's more like the flu. I don't know about you guys. I've had the flu, and if I can avoid getting the flu, I'm going to damn sure make sure I'll avoid the flu, because it's not awesome. So, you know,
Right.
we hear that comment as a family, but it doesn't mean much. Because it's just not something we're going to chance and risk. Because, you know, do you want to become that statistics like, oh, only 1 in 10? We don't want to be that one. So safety first.
Right. But, you know, because you're aware of your immune system, don't you think that eventually, I mean, I'm not saying you should throw yourself out there, but exposed to herd immunity wouldn't be beneficial in the long term?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, and as the country as a whole kind of gets, you know, on top of this COVID-19 thing, and, you know, and as scientists better understand what's going on, yeah, certainly. I mean, I can't hide in my house forever. Absolutely. Am I going to have to get back on, you know, on the airplane to go travel and go to meetings? Absolutely. Will I do it? Of course I'll do it. But, you know, as of right now, as of August 6th, I don't feel comfortable, right? Eventually, I kind of feel like that society will let me know when it's time for me to get back out there.
Right. Which leads us to, you know, of course, what people don't seem to realize, well, a lot of people, is that this confinement is now really helping building our immune system. And in many cases, it stresses out people, which side effect is weakening our immune system. Now they have access to outdoors and the sun and, you know, fresh air and all that. I mean, all of this adds to the immune system stress. And then when you're finally exposed to the real world, then there's more of a chance to catching something than just being protected, you know, naturally, that is, you know, vitamin D from the sun and all this kind of stuff.
You know, I mean, you hit the nail on the head, man. I think the story here is there is no winner. You going out there right now into the crowds and doing your thing, you're not a winner. You're staying at home, you're not a winner. You can't really win. And from an individual standpoint, you just got to do what's best, what you think is best for you as an individual, right?
Yeah.
With the thought in the back of your head, it's like, I need to do what's best for myself, but also, you know, how do I keep other people safe, right? And I think, you know, yeah, there's a lot of truth to what you say or just said. You know, for us, you know, we still get, when I say we stay at home, like we still get outside, right? We still go on walks, we go on hikes. I get outside at least once a day to exercise. I just do it, you know, either we do it as a family or I do it by myself.
Right.
And I would like to think that the majority of people that have been quarantining themselves are doing something at least once a day to, you know, to get some fresh air or to break a sweat, to elevate that heart rate. And
Right.
reality.
You'd be surprised. I have, you know, one of the side effects of this situation is that the condo complex where I live, I used to rarely meet anybody because everybody's busy, they're working, and so on and so forth. Now that everybody is stuck, I can actually get to meet my neighbors more. And it creates a mini community to where we seem to be more aware of each other. And also, I was surprised how many people actually said, you know, I don't go out. I don't even go out shopping. I get everything delivered. I mean, they just stay home and you know, it's the fear is.
The fear is real.
Is real. It's like, I'm not, I mean, you know, I'm an old dude, but, you know, but I've gone out, you know, I've gone out to the grocery store. I take my precaution. I wear the mask. I keep distance and so on and so forth. But otherwise, you know, I'm not able to do some activities like, you know, getting with my friends and playing ping pong or patong and all that. And I miss that. But, you know, I still manage to meet my friends, but in smaller quantities, so to speak. You know, I go out with a friend to a restaurant. I go to another one. Yesterday, I went to a friend's house and we just watched a movie and had dinner and had a nice conversation. You know, it's a lot of people are taking this whole thing, in my opinion, too seriously. For example, my playing patong, which is a French game, you know, I've sent an invitation to the whole gang, which is about anywhere from 30 to 40 people. Well, only 2 show up every Sunday. And it's always the same 2. You know, everybody else is staying home scared and that just, I don't think there's a need for that. You know, you need to be able to, as long as we play, we keep our distance, you know, and we don't necessarily hug or, you know, shake hand or whatever. There's still, if you're careful, there's still a possibility to have a life out there.
Oh,
but
yeah.
what shocked me is the amount of fear out there.
Yeah, and you know, I think some of that fear comes from, you know, so you as an individual, you going out there doing your things, and you know, you're safe. You're washing your hands, you're wearing your mask, but you know, maybe your neighbor who doesn't know you as well is like, well, you know, I don't really know that dude, and you know, I don't know what he did yesterday, so you know, maybe he's safe today, maybe he wasn't safe yesterday. You know, why would I put myself out there? And you know, people, you know, that, like yourself, they're going out there wearing a mask and doing it the right way. Me as a diabetic, you know, I want to say thank you because you're making it safer for me and the other, you know, 25 million type 1 diabetics in the United States. So you as an individual who, you know, does not have an autoimmune disease that compromises their, you know, immune system, you know, going out there responsibly is, you know, it's very powerful, you know, like you're still living your life, you know, not maybe to the fullest because there are these things that you're implementing that are, you know, keeping you from doing all the things that you love to do, you know, at 100%. But it's a, you know, for me, you know, you making that sacrifice, I mean, that, thank you, right? Thank you, because it keeps me safe. And, you know, my wife will also say thank you because, you know, she certainly doesn't want me to get, you know, die of COVID-19, God forbid. She'd be a parent, you know, single parent to 4 children. Hell no, nobody wants that, right?
But what I'm trying to say is the point is has to be a balance between fear and still living your life. You know, you can't be completely controlled by fear. I understand if people have conditions, you know, cancer, heart disease, whatever, that puts them at risk, they should be especially careful. I get that. I understand that. But the rest of us healthy people, we shouldn't be living in fear like the government wants us to.
Yeah, I think people just, you know, I mean, I hear you and I disagree. I agree to a point, but I also agree it's like people just don't want to take that chance, you know, especially when, you know, in the US, I don't even know how many people have died. Like, do you want to be one of them just because you want to go out that one particular day where the weather's nice? You know, the weather's going to be nice again some other time. So I hear you and I agree to a point, but I also think that, you know, living in fear, you know, and making fear-based decisions, yeah, it's probably not the best thing to do, but I think it's also okay to just, you know, say, it's like, you know what, everybody's meeting up for beer or for, you know, a game of tennis. I'm just not going to do it. you know, because I
Right,
just
right.
don't want to be that one person. So it's
Right, right.
it's
And again, don't get me wrong. I'm not advocating stupid behavior. I'm not saying
oh, for
going to
sure.
the bars and crowded place and protesting on the streets, by the way, and you know, all this risky behavior. I'm not saying that, but
Balance is
you know,
key.
balance is key. You know, meet with, you know, a friend or two. You know, as long as you know that, you know, you do a little. Like yesterday, my friend, when I went to visit him, the first thing before anything was go to the bathroom, wash your hands.
Right.
You know, and then after that, I asked him permission to take my mask off, and he said that's
Yeah.
fine. And so, you know, again, it's not for me. I'm not advocating going on party like there's no tomorrow and then catch something. You know, I'm
For sure.
talking about living a reasonable life, you know,
Yeah.
careful life, but not being, you know, controlled by fear. That is,
Yeah, and I mean I can agree to that for sure.
yeah. Okay, moving along. You did mention exercise. Have you changed your exercise routine or?
Well, not too much, right? So I've always been extremely active. You know, I run 6 days a week pre COVID-19, and I run 6 days a week now during COVID-19. So the only thing, as far as the actual routine, nothing much has changed. The one thing that's changed, you know, it's where I used to meet up with my buddies to go run, or I used to go travel to go run in the mountains or what have you. You know, that's not happening. So that has certainly changed. But as far as the routine goes, for me personally, no. You know, maybe I've actually increased my exercise just because it feels like I have a little bit more time on my hands,
Mhm.
and but that's really it.
Okay, I'd like to address the mental and emotional issues or challenges.
Yeah.
I read already that there's a lot of side effects of this confinement. You know, more depression, suicides, overdosing drugs, alcohol, even domestic violence, all of this. And I wouldn't quote numbers on that, but I read an article that said there's already more people dead from the side effect of the confinement than actually dead from the actual disease. What's your take on that?
Yeah, so I believe that mental health, and I mean that's a real issue, right? That's a real issue, COVID-19 or no COVID-19. I think that shit is very real. That's a tangible thing that needs to be addressed. COVID, yes or no, really has nothing to do with it. I think COVID put even more of a spotlight about the issue that we have in this country and probably around the world with that particular topic. But yeah, I'm a believer that you know that is happening for sure. You know, I mean I can see it in my own house, right? And the bizarre thing is I see it in the children that are, you know, the younger children. You know, our son has had, you know, just I don't know if it was last week and maybe, you know, within the last few weeks, you know, he came to us and he was just crying because he understands what's going on, right? Like we try to educate him, you know, to a certain extent about what COVID is and what's going on in the world. And he's just like, it's just not fair. You know, I want to go see my friends and it's not fair. And, you know, that's, you know, within a 6-year-old, they can comprehend, you know, at that level. So yeah, I mean, it's real, you know, certainly different types of intensities and severities, but it's, it's very real. It's something that needs to be addressed. And I think, you know, I'm not an expert in mental health. I've been fortunate
Right.
enough in my life to, you know, I don't think I've ever been in a clinical depression. You know, I've been sad, of course, like everybody's had, but
Yeah.
I feel like that the lifestyle of my lifestyle and the lifestyle of my family really help us to prevent that, because, you know, we stick to a routine. We get out there, we sweat, we elevate that heart rate, we get those natural endorphins pumping, we, you know, we watch what we eat, and I feel like that's, for us at least, has worked really well.
Right, because you do support your immune system, unlike a lot of people that, I mean, I see comments on Facebook and people complain they're getting, you know, heavier and because they eat more and they probably don't eat very healthy to start with. And so eventually you combine that with stress and everything else, and it's bound to exaggerate the situation as far as health issues. You know, people like you and I and Mark, I'm sure, and you know, other people in the keto or even the paleo, they tend to stay, you know, stay on the diet and pay attention. But the general population out there is not so careful about strengthening the immune system or protecting it.
I think the way we can talk about it easily is what it comes down to is a certain sense of discipline. So
Yep.
if you have a disciplined routine in your day-to-day life, and that can be brushing your teeth, exercise, it can be anything. You know, if you have built that discipline over a period of time, you know, during the time of COVID-19, what I would encourage people to do is like fall back on that discipline. Discipline will always be there regardless of how hard the times, and as long as you follow those steps that you've already laid out, I think you'll at least have a fair chance at coming out, you know, having a positive outcome on the other side. And, you know, to your point of people, you know, yeah, I'm gaining weight, I'm doing this. That's, you know, I mean, that's the reality of not just this country, but every country. It's, you know, you're moving less, but you're consuming more. Obviously, you're going to gain weight, right? If you don't have a deficit,
Right.
You'll have a surplus, and that has to go somewhere.
So
And,
there's I'm hearing a solution here, which is your recommendation would be to exercise more and eat less, right?
I mean, that's the easiest way. But, you know, the thing is, man, regardless on if you live in a house, if you live in an apartment, if you're in the city, if you're in the country, everybody can find 15 minutes to do push-ups, sit-ups. You don't need a gym. You don't need anybody can do it, right? You can carry a gallon of water up and down the stairs 5 times. And that, you know, is that a lot of exercise? No, but it's something, right? So if you can get yourself to just commit to doing literally anything besides nothing, that's a win, right? And I think a lot of people have taken that initiative. You know, I know for sure. So, you know, I run in my neighborhood, and you know, just today, I left my house at 6:11 a.m. to go on a 10-mile run. And I turned the corner onto the main street, and there are, I kid you not, there might be 15 people walking their dog. A year ago at 6:11 outside in my neighborhood, ghost town, right? I mean, you could maybe some cars, but nothing happening. So it feels like some people, that is, are taking an initiative to make a change for the better, and just, you know, getting outside early or late, or just really doing anything.
Yeah, another suggestion we could, you know, tell our listeners is eat better quality and eat less. Because if your food quality is better, you don't need to eat so much volume. You get all your nutrients from that better quality. So as you eat less, then you reduce your weight, and then, you know, add exercise to it. So I like to focus on food quality, not quantity.
Absolutely.
I mean, if anything, I've cut down my intake. Not a whole lot, but, you know, sometimes I even skip meals. I eat a solid breakfast, and sometimes I skip lunch, and then I go directly to an early dinner. So I have a dinner around 5 or 6. For me, that's early, because usually I eat at 9 p.m. And then that way I also have a 12 to 14 hours fasting going on, you know, until my breakfast next day. So, you know, maybe a combination that could help people, instead of, you know, people in stressful situations tend to go for comfort food, which typically are sugary food and snacks and everything. I know my son is doing that. And we here at Low Carb Paleo Show encourage people to shift from this kind of food to higher quality and less quantity.
Yeah, I mean, perfectly said. Perfectly said. You know, I don't think there's ever been a more important time in our lifetimes to become an expert at understanding and reading the labels on the back of food packaging.
Yeah.
I mean, if you have been the guy that's eaten Cheetos for 20 years, and, you know, you're like, I don't know what's in it and I don't care, I encourage you to take 45 seconds and just have a look, and then then I'd like to see if you'd still decide to make that same purchase.
Yeah.
It's, you know, if that ingredient list is longer than 10 items, it's probably not a good idea. You know,
Right.
and you know, the common saying, if you can't pronounce it, it's not good, obviously. But it's just like, I challenge you two and everybody that's watching and listening to the show, become an expert at the label. Not only at reading, super important to just read it, got it, but understanding what those things are and what they do to you. If you take, you know, your average bag of potato chips and you Google some of those ingredients, you would be surprised.
Yeah.
You would be extremely surprised what you know, they're used as a stabilizer in potato chips and as a stabilizer in fertilizer. You know, like
Right.
you would be shocked, and it would,
Yeah.
and it will paint a pretty clear picture of, oh, when I eat these potato chips, I don't feel good afterwards. I was like, yeah, I know. So quality over quantity for sure.
Can I tease you a little?
Yeah.
I noticed you said 6:11 a.m. That's very German.
Yeah. Well,
I would have said something. Well, you know, I got out around 6, but very precise. Very.
You know how the Germans are. It's either precise or it's not at all.
Right. Right. Okay. So, do you have any? I mean, you did share already quite a bit. Any additional personal stories or something you observed during this confinement that?
Yeah. So one story I'd like to tell, and it's not me personally, but it ties in, I think, with what we're talking about today, is COVID-19, you know, it's this crazy thing that we're trying to understand, and we're starting to understand. And I just want to, my message here is just like, I just would like to everybody to understand that make the best decision for yourself and your family, yes, but also just understand that COVID-19 doesn't care who you are, you know. And the reason why I say that is I have a very good friend who's probably one of the best ultra runners on the planet, right? There's no doubt. This guy doesn't have an ounce of fat on him. He is jacked. He, again, one of the best ultra athletes in the world. And, you know, he's extremely sick right now and, you know, not doing super hot. And it just kind of shows us that, you know, even when we take all these precautions and we're doing everything right, there's always that slight chance that, you know, COVID-19, it just doesn't care who you are. Sometimes it just gets you. So just, you know, wear your mask, wash your hands, don't pick your nose, and I think we're all gonna be good.
Done. Well, at least I won't do it on screen.
Yeah, exactly.
Mark?
No, it's a real pain in the backside to edit when you do things like that. Oh, right, you want me to continue?
Yes.
Why not, indeed? Tim, you mentioned earlier that you know, your ice cream is a way of life. What did you mean by that?
Yeah, so it's something that you should incorporate into your daily nutrition, meaning it's so again, you could treat it as a treat that you have sometimes, absolutely, or you know, you have it for a birthday party, or you know, something that you don't do all the time. But if you're looking to ingest high quality ingredients that work for the body, you know, maybe have a little bit less of something during your main course at dinner, and then incorporate that ice cream, because there is true health benefits in that ice cream, right? So it's not as much of a treat that you just kind of have on top of everything that you have, but it's something that you should incorporate in your way of eating. Meaning, you know, it's like, okay, cool. So I'm for dinner, you know, what's a classic paleo dinner? Maybe a ribeye steak with some sweet potato and a salad, right? That's a pretty classic paleo dinner, I think. And maybe the thought there is, you know, have a little bit less of that steak and a little bit less of that potato, and then, you know, at the end have some of that ice cream that's going to have some grass-fed butter in it, which is, it's an amazing fat for your body. It's going to have, you know, very premium heavy whipping cream, which, you know, premium dairy is, you know, it helps the gut, helps the immune system. You know, that's a conversation on its own. And you know, it has a little bit of xylitol in it, which is amazing for you in the sense of it'll help you preserve proper oral hygiene. And you know, a lot of these gut issues that I talk about and I read about, you know, they actually start in the mouth. When people don't floss and brush their teeth on a regular basis, you know, you know, there's a lot of science out there that'll suggest that, you know, not having proper oral hygiene will affect the gut microbiome, and it'll just, you know, tear it up, impacting your immune system, what have you. So I encourage people to, you know, if it's Mammoth creameries or not, just products that contain xylitol, please include it into your diet. You will see long-term benefits without a question.
Super. You've mentioned a lot about all sorts of different things. I guess we better give our viewers somewhere where they can find out more about you and what you do, what you stand for, what your products are like, and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, for sure. So we, you know, one of the best sources is, of course, you know, is our webpage, just mammothcreameries.com. We've got an entire database of articles, you know, related to health and wellness from, you know, the scientist standpoints, from our personal standpoints, from other people within this industry that we talk to. So it's super helpful, as well as if you know, if you're into social media, you follow our social media. It's extremely relevant to, you know, healthy living, what we're doing as a company to address issues. You know, what are we doing to support the type 1 diabetes community? You know, what are we doing to support, you know, the COVID-19 relief efforts and what have you. So these are some places that you'll find some pretty amazing information, a lot of it. So, you know, don't get overwhelmed, but yeah, that's the way I would start.
Excellent. What about social media? Are you active on social media as well?
Yeah, for sure. Facebook and Instagram, as well as LinkedIn. You know, it's constantly getting updated with relevant information to, again, current events, as well as the company itself. And, you know, when I say current events, you know, we don't talk just about COVID-19. There are other positive things actually in the world that are happening that we'd love to talk about. So, you know, I feel like a lot of companies, all they do is talk about COVID-19, and again, super relevant, but, you know, kind of to the points we were addressing earlier, is like, you don't need to beat, you know, this dead horse with a stick. Like, there are good things happening every single day, and they need to be, you know, addressed as well.
Excellent. Now, looking forward a bit, we've been promised by the media, at the very least, that there's going to be a second wave. What have you been doing personally to prepare yourself for that, and your family for that matter as well?
Yeah. So I guess from here in Austin, it almost feels like we've had our second wave hit, right? So early in the summer, like spring, early summer, you know, when everything was peaking, you know, that was the first wave. And then Texas started opening back up, right? The restaurants started opening back up, the bars, I mean, everything, right? At limited capacity, but I mean, things were trending in the right way. And then sure enough, middle of summer, or, you know, middle of summer for the rest of the country. Texas, who knows when the middle of summer is? Could be October. But, you know, June, July hit, and, you know, you know, we got these massive spikes again, and bars shut back down, restaurants shut back down. And so I feel like we're at the tail end of this second wave, because things are certainly, at least here in Austin, I don't know if they're getting better, but I don't think they're getting worse, right? Which you got to start somewhere. So we'll take that and work with that, and then we'll see what tomorrow brings. But, you know, what we did to get ourselves ready for that was, you know, taking the experiences we've gathered from this first, you know, peak and that first time of everything shutting down. We just limited our exposure. You know, nothing much really changed. We limited our exposure and contact with people. We wore masks, we washed our hands, and we just, you know, we were just extremely disciplined about staying on that routine. You know, you wake up, you brush your teeth, you get some exercise. We care and understand the foods that we're consuming. We care about them and how are they going to impact our bodies, and we just take, you know, day by day, because, you know, I guess that's one thing that's been tough for us as a family is, you know, you know, me being German, I'm a planner, right? And like, I know what's going to happen 45 minutes from now, and I know what's going to happen tomorrow, right? I have a plan, and it's been difficult to kind of, you know, we still have a plan, but it's kind of like, you just got to take it with a grain of salt, right? So some things just don't come to fruition, or, you know, you just take it day by day and understand that, you know, sometimes you're going to have a bad day, and that's okay. And it's okay to, you know, tell somebody. You know, I tell my wife, I'm like, hey, Susan, you know, today, man, that was just shit today. You know, I just don't feel stoked. It's just like, And she's like, yeah, man, let's talk about it. Let's go to bed, and tomorrow the sun's going to come up, and let's go crush it. And I'm telling you guys, that stuff works, right? And if you're talking to your dog, if you're talking to your friend, your girlfriend, and, you know, COVID-19, one opportunity to start getting back into the habit of making phone calls. call somebody. There's always somebody you can call. I mean, just communicate, check in on people, have people check in on you, and I think that puts you in at least a position where you have a chance, right?
I have a question. What's your take on the vaccine when it's coming out? Are you gonna vaccine your whole family, or I'm curious about it.
Yeah, I'm curious about that too. So we actually just talked about this morning because there were some articles that we were reviewing about, massive progress with the vaccines. There's 3 contenders that have real potential. Ultimately, will we get the vaccine? Yes. Will we get V1? Maybe not V1. Maybe we'll wait for version 3, right? Just because vaccines are one of those things. I'm not an anti-vax person, trust me. I believe in vaccines. I think they're relevant in certain situations. I think that infectious disease is extremely tricky, and vaccines work for the most part. But do I want to be in that wave that tries out a vaccine for the very first time? I don't know. I don't know. Maybe for myself, maybe, yeah, I'll take the chance. But for my kids, I'd rather keep them at home for a couple more months, right? Wait for another version, wait for some results. So
okay,
that's what we stand.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's always a tricky thing, isn't it, deciding which part of the curve you're going to be on. I'm actually sort of right at the tail end, because for me it's a no, because I know what goes on in the vaccine manufacturing facilities. It's not something that they really want made public.
Yeah, I can only imagine. Jesus. It's the vaccine is kind of like, not that it's the same, but it's like, self-driving cars. I'd love to have one, but not the first version. You know what I mean? Let them work out the bugs with somebody else. Once there's some established data on what works and doesn't, yeah, let's revisit. So
yeah,
super job. But again, I've run out of all the things I wanted to ask you, because you've answered things as you've been going along, which has been great in one way, but annoying in another, because I don't get to ask the question. But there we go. So, Alan, back to you. One other thing, Tim. Is there anything we should have asked you we didn't?
I think you guys nailed it on the head. I really enjoy talking to you guys. It's just, I don't know, it feels very natural. I think the things that we address are always super relevant, and I just like getting this different type of perspective, so it's great.
Well, thank you for your feedback.
Yeah.
We appreciate your visiting us too. Ready for the closing then, Mark? Okay, that means yes. Thank you again, Tim, for being on the Low Carb Paleo Show, and as we say in Texas, à votre santé, y'all.
Now, you live in Austin, Tim.
Yes, that's correct.
Do you hear that everywhere?
I'm going to be completely honest. It's the only time I've heard it.